Hey everyone, welcome to our BCBA 6th edition exam study guide. I'm really glad you're here. Before we jump in, take a second to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any section. And if you want to practice with real mock exam questions and detailed feedback built by certified BCBAs, go to bcbamockexam.com. Today we're diving into Section A, Philosophical Underpinnings. These are the foundations that explain why behavior analysis is a science and how we think about behavior. In this section, you'll learn 5 core ideas. 1. The goals of behavior analysis as a science. 2. Our philosophical assumptions. 3. Radical behaviorism. 4. The branches of behavior analysis. And 5. The 7 dimensions that define quality ABA work. Everything that comes later in the task list, reinforcement, assessment, ethics, is built on these concepts. Every science has a purpose. For behavior analysis, our 3 scientific goals are description, prediction, and control. That means we don't just watch behavior happen. We want to understand it and then use that knowledge to create positive change. Let's unpack each goal. Description is the first step. We collect facts about what actually occurred. No opinions, no interpretations. What does the behavior look like? When and where does it happen? What came before and after? For example, you notice a client shouts when the teacher walks away. That's a fact, a description. Next is prediction. After many observations, you start to see patterns. Maybe shouting happens more often when attention drops. You're not experimenting yet. You're identifying a possible relationship. That's correlation. Finally, control is our highest goal. Now you change a variable. You teach the student to raise a hand for attention and reinforce that response. If the new behavior increases and shouting decreases, you've established a functional relation. That's scientific control. Every effective ABA intervention is rooted in this 3-step journey: describe, predict, control. Next, let's look at the 5 philosophical assumptions that shape how we think: determinism, empiricism, parsimony, selectionism, and pragmatism. They might sound academic, but they explain why ABA is such a reliable science. Determinism means behavior is lawful. Things don't just happen. If we look closely, we'll find causes. Empiricism means we rely on data. We observe, measure, and record before we decide. Parsimony reminds us to start with the simplest explanation that fits the facts. Selectionism tells us that behaviors evolve through consequences, just like organisms through natural selection. Pragmatism keeps us grounded. If it works and helps the learner, it matters. In practice, this philosophy translates to one mindset: follow the data and stay functional. Now we get to radical behaviorism, B.F. Skinner's core idea. It's radical because it includes private events like thoughts and feelings as legitimate behavior. They aren't mystical or separate from the environment. They're just behaviors we can't see directly. So instead of saying he hit because he was angry, a behavior analyst asks, what environmental conditions produced both the anger and the hitting? This approach keeps our focus on observable relations, not unmeasurable labels. Think about public speaking anxiety. That nervous feeling is a learned response based on past experiences. Maybe you were laughed at once in front of a crowd. By changing reinforcement histories, practicing in safe settings, receiving praise instead of criticism, we can reshape those private responses. That's radical behaviorism applied to real life. Behavior analysis has 4 branches that connect theory to practice. 1. Behaviorism, the philosophy of our science. Point 2. Experimental analysis of behavior, basic research that discovers principles in controlled settings. Point 3. Applied behavior analysis, using those principles to solve meaningful problems. Point 4. Professional practice, the application by trained practitioners in real environments. Each layer depends on the others. Without research, we don't know what works. Without application, research stays in the lab. Think of it like a chain. Skinner's pigeon studies? That's EAB. Early autism interventions by Lovis? That's ABA. Your own supervised sessions? That's professional practice. All of it rests on the same philosophy. Behavior is a subject of science, and change comes from the environment. Finally, let's look at the 7 dimensions that define true ABA from Baer, Wolf, and Risley, 1968. They are applied, behavioral, analytic, technological, conceptually systematic, effective, and generality. These aren't just buzzwords. There are quality checklists. Applied, the goal is socially meaningful change, not academic exercise. Behavioral, we measure what a person does, not what we think they feel. Analytic, we demonstrate functional relations through data. Technological, our procedures are so clear others can replicate them. Conceptually systematic, our interventions tie back to ABA principles. Effective, they produce meaningful results. Generality, those results last and transfer across settings and people. When you review a program, ask yourself, is this behavior important to the client? Can I measure it objectively? Does my plan show clear functional relations? Can another therapist replicate it exactly? Did it work, and does it maintain over time? If you can answer yes to all of those, you're doing high-quality ABA. Let's wrap up. We covered the goals of science, description, prediction, control, the philosophical assumptions that guide our thinking, radical behaviorism, and how it includes private events, the 4 branches that link research to practice, and the 7 dimensions that define quality ABA. Everything else you'll study in this guide builds on these concepts. If this video helped clarify Section A, go ahead and subscribe right now and like this video so more future BCBAs can find it. And when you're ready to test your knowledge, visit bcbamockexam.com for full-length mock tests, flashcards, and analytics that mirror the real exam. Keep studying, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video. Section B, Concepts and Principles.